My name is Francesca Johnson. I was born in Italy, but for many years now I've lived in Iowa, in the very heart of America. My life is the farm, my husband, two children, daily chores, and a familiar routine. Sometimes I feel like I've dissolved into these endless cornfields, into the smell of fresh bread, and into the quiet that settles in the evenings when the whole family gathers at the table. I don't complain. My husband is a good man, the children are healthy, our home is cozy. But sometimes when I'm alone, a wave of longing washes over me for something unknown, for a life I could have lived if I'd stayed in Italy, if I'd chosen a different path. That August day began as usual. My husband and children left for the fair, and I stayed home alone, a rare luxury I cherished. I was doing my usual chores when an old pickup truck pulled up to our house. Behind the wheel was a stranger, tall, with a tired but kind face. He introduced himself, Robert Kincaid, a photographer from National Geographic. He was looking for one of the old covered bridges of Madison County to photograph for an article. I explained the way, but seeing his confusion, I offered to show him myself. We drove together. The road was dusty and long, but the conversation with Robert was surprisingly easy. He was unlike any man I'd ever known. Free, a little ironic, with a special way of looking at the world. He told me about his travels, about countries I'd only seen in photographs, about people he'd met. I listened and felt something forgotten awaken inside me, a thirst for life, an interest in new things, in myself. When we returned home, I invited him to dinner. It was spontaneous, but felt completely natural. We sat on the porch, drank tea, talked about books, music, about how quickly time flies. Robert looked at me as if he truly saw me, not just a wife and mother. I hadn't felt so alive in a long time. The next day, he came again. We drove around the county together, searching for bridges, taking photographs. I showed him places I'd known since childhood, and he told me about his dreams. Something special grew between us, not just attraction, but a deep, almost instant understanding. I felt I could be myself with him, without fear or pretense. In the evening, as the sun set, Robert confessed he didn't want to leave. I looked at him and realized I was standing on the threshold of something important. That night, we stayed together. For the first time in many years, I allowed myself to be happy, not thinking about the consequences. We talked until dawn, laughed, sat in silence, just holding hands. I didn't know what would happen next, but I was grateful for this gift of fate. The following days felt like a dream. We hid from the world, living only for each other. I knew it couldn't last forever. My husband and children would soon return. Robert asked me to leave with him, to start a new life. I stood before a choice: remain loyal to my family or follow my heart. I thought for a long time, tormented myself, cried. I imagined Robert and me traveling the world, becoming myself again. But then I looked at photos of my children, remembered how my husband cared for me, how we built this home together. I realized I couldn't leave them, couldn't destroy their world for my own happiness. On the last day, Robert waited for me at the bridge. He stood in the rain, hoping I would come. I saw him from the car window, saw how he looked at me, how he waited. My heart longed for him, but I stayed where I was. I chose my family, chose duty, chose the life I knew. Robert left, and I returned home to my husband and children. Years passed. I lived as before, but inside me there was always the memory of those 4 days that changed everything. I kept Robert's letters, his photographs, his gifts. Sometimes when I was alone, I would take them out and remember what it was like to be truly loved and free. I don't regret my choice, but I also don't forget what could have been. My life is a bridge between two worlds, the one I have and the one I could have had. I learned to appreciate simple joys, to be grateful for each day, for every meeting, for every chance to love. My story is about how one chance encounter can change your whole life, about how important it is to listen to your heart, but also to remember those who are close to you. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I know those 4 days were the truest in my life.